UFC Fight Night Shanghai takes place this weekend, and I'm going to be breaking down every single fight in the card. Feel free to skip round. There will be timestamps. We're going to get started with the prelims, and we're going to get started with Uran Satybaldiev versus Nurgozhay. Satybaldiev is quite dangerous on the feet, to be honest, and he's quite a talented kickboxer. And unless you've kind of got the, I don't want to say aura, but like the physique and the build of Martin Bidet to just wet blanket him, and be 50 pounds heavier, you kind of can't really deal with Satybaldiev on the feet, especially in these higher weight divisions, and he is quite a talented kickboxer. Diyar Nurgozhay did kind of shit the bed in his debut, and he a little bit blinded by the lights in some way in his UFC debut, and that was in the Apex as well. This is a crowded arena. However, I don't see him, and I think he's going to get knocked out inside round number 1. Not a great start for a UFC career to go 0-2. Moving on, Zhao versus SuYoung. Yu is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, he's a pretty good fighter. His last performance was very good. Pieced up and dominated his opponent in his last fight. Long, he's alright. He's a mid fighter. I'm going to pick Yu to get this one done. Pretty sure he's a pretty big favourite going to this one as well. So I'm going to pick him to get this one done by decision. Moving on. Yizha versus Weston Willson. Yizha's pretty promising as well. A lot of these guys are promising prospects from that region of the world. It is obviously taking place in Shanghai, so a lot of them are going to be these Asian fighters who train and live nearby. Yizha is quite a promising prospect from that region of the world, and I will be picking him to win this fight against Weston Willson. He is also a massive favourite going to this. He's about a 12-1 favourite, so, and he is also about 8 years younger than Weston Willson. So I'm going to pick him to get this one done. I'm going to pick him to get it done by round 2 KO. Moving on. Michel Pereira versus Daukaus. This was meant to be Michel Pereira versus Tulio. Tulio, in my opinion, would have murked Michel Pereira. But Daukaus he's not that good. I think Pereira will win this one. However, that being said, Pereira has an exchange of cardio. This man does all of his capoeira stuff on the walk out to the octagon. He then gets into the octagon and he has no energy left. So he has about half a round of cardio, and that's about it. So if Michel Pereira makes out that first round, it's over. Daukaus has won. I'm putting all my stock into him. So I'm picking Michel Pereira to win. I'm going to pick him to get it done by round 1 KO. But if he doesn't get it done inside round number 1, wrap it up for the man then, because he is finished. Next up, Rongzu versus Austan Hubbard. Austan Hubbard, why is he still here? I swear he's like 60 years old. He's 33. What? I'm an idiot. Rongzu's pretty good, coming over a win over Cody Steele, where he was an underdog in that fight as well. So he outperformed what we thought he would do. Got fight of the night. I think Rongzu will get this one done. I don't really rate Austan Hubbard, to be honest. He's coming off a split decision loss to Markel Murdos. But Murdos is pretty good, and I love Markel Murdos, to be honest. I like the way he fights. I like the fact that he's going to scramble out of bottom position, stand and bang, break and strike in the clinch. I like Markel Murdos. I'm not going to turn this breakdown into a Markel Murdos glaze session, as I do every single time he fights. But Austan Hubbard didn't really do much on the ground against Markel Murdos, and realistically, in modern day MMA, if you want to win fights, you need to do stuff on the ground. You need to be active on the ground. And I think Rongzu will just piece him up on the feet. Hubbard's going to shoot a takedown. He won't do enough on the ground to win the round. I think Rongzu will win round 1 KO. I can see this fight going down to a decision if he doesn't win in round number 1. I'm going to say a round 1 KO for Rongzu. If it does make it to a decision, I can see Rongzu winning this. Moving on. Charles Johnson versus Lona Kavanagh. I love this fight because Lona Kavanagh, amazing kickboxer, he's got all these kickboxing fights, big prospect. Charles Johnson is the type of guy who will fraud check Lona Kavanagh. He's a long, lanky guy in that flyweight division. People forget, man, he's got a win over Joshua Van. I've not really watched a lot of Lona Kavanagh's kickboxing fights, but Charles Johnson is a tricky style for any striker in that division who isn't a similar size and reach to him. I think this is a tough matchup for Lona Kavanagh. He's a favourite going in, but Charles Johnson is a tricky style matchup. And if anyone's going to beat Lona Kavanagh, it's going to be Charles Johnson. So really want to see how Lona Kavanagh does with the length and the reach and the size of Charles Johnson. And if he doesn't do very well, this could be a fraud chicken. You know what I mean? This could be a fraud chicken. I'm going to tune in for this matchup because this really tells me if Lona Kavanagh is ready for that top 15 yet. Because Charles Johnson, amazing gatekeeper. He gatekeeps pretty much any pure striker out of that top 15. So Lona Kavanagh, he's a very good kickboxer. I want to see how he deals with the range of Charles Johnson. Because Charles Johnson, he is he is pretty solid in the UFC. If you look at him against pretty much any raw striker, like Sumudaerji, he's won by decision. Joshua Van, he beat him. Azam Maxim, he's beat him as well. He's really good at fraud checking these prospects. Jake Hadley beats him as well. He's really good at fraud checking these prospects. I think he could be the guy to fraud check, or kind of derail the hype train of Lona Kavanagh. So I'm going to pick Kavanagh to win, though. I think his kickboxing skill and just his kickboxing experience is enough to get him through this fight. But Charles Johnson could get this one done. And this is a very interesting one for me. I will be tuning in to watch this one specifically. Moving on. Maheshate versus Gage Young. I'm going to pick Gage Young to get this one done. It's a 50-50 really in this fight. Both of these guys are about the same age. Big size advantage for Maheshate. He's 6 foot tall at lightweight. So I'm going to pick Gage Young to get this one done, though. He's got better rips to the body when he's in there close. I think his boxing is slightly more crisp than Maheshate. So I'm going to pick Gage Young to this one done. I'm going to pick it to get it done by decision. Listen, this is a toss-up in my opinion. Don't really know much about either of these guys. I'm going to pick Gage Young to get this one done. I just think he's slightly better, in my opinion. Moving on to the main card. Why does it say Whittaker versus Diyar on the back? It doesn't matter. Nueraji versus Kiefer Crosbie. I'm going to pick... Oh my days, bro. I'm going to pick Nueraji to get this one done. These Asian names are really throwing me off today. I'm going to pick him to get it done. I'm going to pick him to get it done by round 2 TKO over Crosbie. 6'2", 75 inches of reach. Big reach advantage. He's 11 years younger than him as well. I'm going to pick him to get this one done. I'm going to pick him to get it done by round 2 TKO. Once again, don't know a lot about the guy. He's pretty fresh. You know what I'm saying. I'm going to pick him to get this one done. Round 2 TKO. I'm going to say straight right hand. Moving on. Sumudaerji versus Kevin Borjas. Sumudaerji is quality. I love Sumudaerji. He's a fun guy. He's coming off a win to Mitch Raposo. I thought he clearly won. I think it was a split decision. Or was it a split decision? Do people just say it was a robbery? It was. So I thought he clearly won against Mitch Raposo. I'm going to be honest. I thought he clearly won. On damage, clearly. Charles Johnson did fraud check this guy, but Kevin Borjas is all right. Kevin Borjas is coming off a win to Ronaldo Rodriguez, but other than that, he's lost to Acosta, lost to Joshua Van. I'm gonna pick Sumudaerji to get this one done. I'm picking him to get it done by decision. Borjas is all right, but Ronaldo Rodriguez isn't really the highest level of opponent in the UFC. I'm going to pick Sumudaerji to get this one done. I like Sumudaerji. Maybe I'm a little bit biased. I'm going to pick this guy to get it done. The Tibetan Eagle by 30-27 or 29-28 decision. Moving on. Sergei Pavlovich versus Waldo Cortes Acosta. Pavlovich's last performance against Rosenstruik, that was awful. I'm going to be honest. Terrible performance from Pavlovich. Did not look like the same fighter he was. Since that Tom Aspinall knockout, he has not looked like the same fighter. However, that being said, I don't see Waldo Cortes Acosta plodding his way forward to a decision or even to a KO. Cortes Acosta either has to catch him with an overhand right, which could happen, but if you're going to play that game of fight fire with fire, Pavlovich isn't really the guy you want to do that with. And Cortes Acosta, he doesn't really have the movement he doesn't have the speed of Tom Aspinall to really, beat Pavlovich. He's very ploddy, he's very plum in the way that he strikes and the way that he walks. He's very ploddy and he doesn't have the range or the movement of Volkov to really, school Pavlovich over the course of 3 rounds. So if Cortes Acosta comes out there swinging, I think we see Pavlovich from 2022 and he puts him out inside a minute. Or if, Cortes Acosta comes with a slightly slower approach, it will just be a 3-round heavyweight slop fest where Pavlovich wins a 30-27 decision. So yeah, I'm going to pick Sergei Pavlovich via round 1 KO. If we end up going to another decision, I'm going to be very disappointed in Sergei Pavlovich. So, yeah. Moving on. Brian Ortega versus Aljimain Sterling. Ignore their names. I messed up. Whatever. Brian Ortega, I don't know what his problem was. I didn't really have a look at it, but I know this fight has been moved to a catchweight bout at 153 pounds. That's really just solidified my pick. I was initially going to pick Aljimain Sterling anyway because, lighter man skill. Brian Ortega, he's a little bit, he's actually looking pretty lean for this fight compared to what he used to. Aljimain Sterling kept up with Movsar Evloev inside the grappling exchanges, arguably won that fight. I thought Evloev did more on the ground to really outpace Aljimain Sterling in that fight. But anyway, inside this fight, I think Aljamain Sterling's going to win. I can see him kind of pulling away from Brian Ortega. I can see him winning the grappling exchanges. We know Aljamain Sterling's got amazing conditioning. Over the course of 5 rounds, I see Aljamain Sterling slowly starting to pull away. And I also think that lighter man skill is going to be too much for Brian Ortega. So I'm going to pick Aljamain Sterling via round 4 submission. I think the way that Sterling wins this is he probably does it via... See, he has good submissions off his back, don't get me wrong. But I don't see Brian Ortega getting top position on Aljamain Sterling. So I'm going to say... Damn, what am I going to say? I'll say arm triangle for Aljamain Sterling. Doesn't make any sense at all. But I don't see him ending up on his back to a position where he can put Brian Ortega in like a rubber guard / triangle choke submission. So I'm going to say Aljamain Sterling round 4 submission via arm triangle or even rear naked choke. You don't want Aljamain Sterling on your back. Rear naked choke for Aljamain Sterling, round number 4. Moving on to the main event. Johnny Walker versus Ming Yang Zhang. Turn the air conditioning off, everyone. Johnny Walker's making his walkout. Johnny Walker does not have a chin. You know, earlier on in his career, he was kind of this more kickboxing, karate type stance. Now he's just a ploddy guy. And he doesn't really conceal his weapons of attack that much anymore. So you kind of know what he's going to throw before he throws it. Even if it's unorthodox. Even if he throws that flying knee, you kind of see it coming before it's there. So, and yes, Ming Yang Zhang, he is easy to hit. Like, his defense is pretty poor, and we see that inside every single fight. But at the same time, Johnny Walker cannot get hit with any clean shot, or he's going out cold. So I'm going to pick Ming Yang Zhang to win this via round 1 KO. I think if Johnny Walker even gets hit with any strike of substance, he's going out cold. I think Ming Yang Zhang's going to try and make it a little bit scrappy, and I can see Johnny Walker going out in the clinch. You know what I mean? Like 30 seconds into the fight, Ming Yang Zhang kind of like closes the distance, tries to strike with him, and he just goes out cold via a right hand to the chin. So, yeah. Anyway, let me know what you think of my predictions. I think they're pretty solid. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!